Aloha friends, it's Robert Stellick with Blue Planet Surf. Today's video is all about the Flaka, which is the upwind 360 rotation, where you spin the wing around at the end of the jump and basically rotate a 360 spin through the wind. It's a move I've been working on for months. The first day I attempted it, I was able to actually pull it off a couple times, and I thought, oh, this is pretty easy, but then it took me like 2 months of practicing and trying until I was able to pull it off again. So I really struggled for a while, and I wasn't sure what I was doing wrong, but the landing it and the wing handling on the landing is really tricky. So I'm going to break it down step by step for you so you can follow along. So first of all, I try to do these little pumps. So I do little up and down pumps. So I focus on really popping that board up. So here I'm kind of compressing low to the water before I kind of shoot the foil up at a steep angle out of the water, pushing up and just like popping the board without a lot of pressure in the wing. Keep the wing really close, spot the landing, touch down, kind of nose and foil first, and then rotate the rest of the rotation with the board in the water, and then just try to balance out the wing and have it pull me in the new direction. So the wing handling is probably the biggest key to pulling this off. So here again, steep angle, popping the board out of the water, the foil at a steep angle, and then spinning the board around first, keeping the wing close to the head and without a lot of pressure in the wing, and then kind of almost getting backwinded, pushing the wing through the wind, and then landing at about 3/4 around with the foil and the nose of the board first, and then kind of having the weight right over the center of the board so you're not off balance on the landing, and then spinning the wing around at the very last moment, kind of after you already touched the water. So you want to make sure you don't spin the wing too early, because that'll throw you off balance right away. So obviously this is just my technique, and this is how I've been successfully able to pull this move off. It might be different for other people. It's probably not the same for everybody, but that's how I'm doing it. And I find that having the right board is super key. The Wing Master board I'm using is 4/6, so a short board helps with the rotation, and then high volume helps with the landing, sticking the landing, and then that round boofy nose on the Wing Master also helps with being really forgiving on the landing. Another mistake I made in the beginning was point the board too steep into the wind. So it's actually easier to pull it off if you just have a 90-degree angle to the wind on takeoff, and then really aggressively spin the board around. Don't have a lot of pressure in the wing, so keep the wing kind of low. You don't want the wing to go over your head and pull you up. You want to have the wing almost like neutral, floating in the air, and that's why it's important to get that pop off the water. And here I'm kind of hitting the wing on the water, which sometimes helps a little bit with the landing because it kind of slows down the rotation and stabilizes you a little bit. But ideally you want to spin the wing around without touching the water. And this was kind of a lighter wind day, so I was using a bigger wing. It's definitely easier to do it on a smaller wing and not being overpowered. This is my friend Jeff, who is joking that I have FLAKAmylitis, and I'm definitely have that affliction right now. I'm kind of obsessed with this move and trying to pull it off, and I'm stoked to be finally pulling it off. But I did kind of tweak my back doing it too many times and crashing too much. So you just want to be kind of careful not to overdo it too. So one more time, you want to go for height, not so much distance. You can see here how my body's angled to absorb the landing. I'm hitting with the foil and the nose first, and then bringing the board around the rest of the way in the water, having my weight right over the board, spinning the wing around quickly. And this is where a smaller wing is nice. In this sequence, I'm using a 3.8, which makes it easier. And if I want to practice Flakas, I always try to be a little bit underpowered rather than overpowered and use a smaller wing. The smaller the wing, the easier it is to rotate that wing around at the end. I have plenty of footage of crashes on the Flakas, but luckily I have a few videos of me pulling it off. So thanks to Eddie, who was filming in the water with his phone and getting that footage of me actually pulling off some Flakas. So thanks, Eddie, for that. And also, I got some really good pointers from my guests on the Blue Planet show. So I'm going to play the excerpts from the interviews with Kane Dewilde, Gunnar Biniash, and Kaden Prichard. So keep watching to see those excerpts. You can also practice on land like Daniel is doing here now. And I hope you found these tips helpful. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to the Blue Planet YouTube channel. We come out with a new video every Saturday morning. And also now I'm doing a live show every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Hawaii time. So join me for that, and you can ask questions in the comments. So check out the live show, give it a thumbs up, and stick around for more tips. Aloha. So I tried to kind of do a couple of dips and go for the height, not so much the distance. Like this, bring it in the air and then come down, and then bring the tail around after I touch down. The wing, I jump, I keep the wing close to my head, and I bring it around at the last moment when I'm after I land. Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you, like, this is the move I've been trying to pull off and kind of struggling with the landings. I keep I don't know what, like the wing, I can't get the wing right on the landing. So can you kind of maybe walk us through this move step by step?
The Flaka, yeah, or the upwind 360, right? Again, the most important crux of this move initially is that you keep the wing low off to one side and really open. A lot of people try to bring up the wing over their head way too early. And that's what involves you then turning it into a push loop and then crashing. And the other part is just after takeoff, what you really need to do is, like, when you you kick up, you need to twist the board first. You're trying to sort of 180 the board first, and then you look over your shoulder and the board will follow. If you try to rotate your body without twisting the board first, it sort of doesn't allow you to rotate around far enough.
Yeah, so this right here, like right before you jump, you go down with the nose, and I think that's what a lot of people miss when they're trying to jump, is like doing a little downward push, and then you really want to kind of pop that foil up at a steep angle upwards, right, to get some air.
I mean, that's foil jumping 101. That's right. Just regardless if it's wind foiling, wing foiling, or kite foiling, any foil jump, you're going to use the foil as a ramp. So you need to, if you want a nice big jump, you have to use a big ramp, which means get that nose low to the water and then point it up. That's what's going to get you launched. Mm-hmm. If you don't do that, you sort of just get into a flat little jump. It's like if you've taken off a small piece of chop as compared to hitting like a 2-meter ramp. So that's just your normal jumping. You should do that. Any foil jump you do is try to get as low as possible and then try to point up as aggressively as you can. I mean, the second part of the Flaka essentially is that twist. Knock everything over. It's like when you're up in the air, you need to basically flip the board over. You want to point that nose down so that you've done half the rotation already, so that when you let the rest of your body follow that rotation, that it's sort of, the board is already around. So if you don't go around far enough, you tend to land off center. So here the nose is up, and then see, I've twisted the nose around before the rest of my body's come around. I've already gone 180 degrees with the board, and then as the board touches down, I've already gone 3/4 at least of the way around with the board. And the next sort of important part is that, again, as you're in the air, as you're rotating, you need to keep that wing stable off to the side. You don't try to lift it up. When you see people learning, the first mistake they do is they jump and then they lift up the wing over their head as they're trying to spin. Mm-hmm. And that actually does two things. It stops your rotation, and also the wing will then try to lead that rotation, which is a new trick in itself. If you're high enough, it'll turn into a push loop. It's sort of like a kite loop with the wing. Mm-hmm. So, but that's not something you want to do when you're learning this, because it's scary when you do that.
Yeah,
So
and you
it's
don't,
important
like,
that you
I've learned too
lead.
that you don't want to jump too high to do it. Like, yeah,
Actually, height will help you, but it's
yeah,
important that if you keep that wing off to the side, so if you keep the wing more or less head level, yeah, as you
yeah.
go around, you'll land, and then you can just basically rotate the wing over your head once you've landed. If you try to rotate the wing over your head when you're in the air, that's when it will slam you, because the wing will go behind you and then dive straight down.
Mm.
And that's the most scary part. I mean, I broke 3 different carbon mats before I learned that. Because I'd just be landing like super hard, because I'd basically lead with the wing and then turn it into a push loop and then slam the foil sideways like onto the water. I mean, it looks easy here, but there's a few things. Like I said, the most important part, if you keep the wing low, right there I did it slightly wrong. You saw that wing just hit that water quite hard. Yeah.
The
As
only
long as you
ones I've pulled off were actually where I hit the water. It seemed to help me when I was able to pull them off.
it gives you a bit of balance, but it's just it means that you've raised up your hands too
Okay.
high before you rotate it. And in the end, it's not good for your foil or for your wing when you constantly whack it
Right.
into the
Yeah,
water.
yeah. So because here you hit it almost like flat onto the water. Yeah.
Yeah. Here I had it. I rotated too early. I tried to bring the wing around too early. See there, it's over my head instead of lower to the side, and that's what basically causes it to sort of go into that loop.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
And yeah, so the way to prevent it from sort of going to loops, you keep it off to the side, and you keep your back hand low. You try to push actually that back handle down as you're trying to bring that around. That again is, remember, like when you push down on that back handle, it causes the wing to go up. Yeah.
Okay.
The reason it typically tends to drop down is because you've also then lifted your hand up as you've tried to bring it around. You probably see it there that I actually, as it went around, my backhand rose up on that crash, basically. See, watch my backhand, and now it's going to go up. You see how it's gone up and over?
So you catch the wind basically the wrong way.
Exactly. So remember, like when you're just controlling the wing on the beach, if you want the tip to come up, you push down. And if you raise your backhand, the wing goes down. It's the same thing that applies here. So if you forget to keep your hand low and basically push that backhand away from you in that trick, you should see my backhand should extend out. That's hard to see behind.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can see there, I'm pushing it down hard, and it just comes around.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for the tips.
Yeah.
It's a good move. I see a lot of guys. Well, I don't know. I was watching Balls Miller was probably the first to do those kind of tricks, and
yeah,
I like watching his videos too.
Yeah, I mean, I spent too much time on this one because I actually unlearned some of the other cooler stuff. Because it's actually, this is a fairly safe one because you don't tend to hit the board when you screw it up. Whereas actually the first rotation I learned, which I just don't have any videos of, and I'm actually at the moment gotten scared of doing it, is basically the backside rotation to that. So basically you jump up and you rotate the other way.
Yeah.
60. And that's the hamstring killer. Right? It's like if you screw it up, you hit the rail of the board all the time. And yeah, as I've been doing too many of these Flakkas, like now I've gotten scared of doing the other one. So my goal for the next month is essentially just relearn all the backside tricks now because they're actually harder.
So, I mean, what are some moves that you're currently working on, or like, do you have anything that you're trying to do that you're not quite?
Yeah, getting better at 360s with the wing, and then going into some flips.
Like 360s in the air, right, like kind of spinning with the wing.
Yeah. So yeah,
I've been trying those too, and I've been like, you basically turning the board into the wind and then bringing the wing around.
Mm-hmm.
What's the secret? I always struggle on the landing. I'm having a hard time pulling those off.
What worked best for me was, first of all, not pointing super high upwind before you do it. So bear off a little bit maybe start at a reach. Practice in light wind, and don't use a super short mast. So probably an 80 centimeter mast would be good, or more would be good for it. Make sure you can do a 360 in the surf off the back of a wave. So if you have surf foil, just pump out, get your 360s down off the back of a wave. And then for the wing part of it, it's tricky. What I like to do is jump and basically shove the wing back as I'm rotating, and then bring it over my head as I come around. But that first initial rotation, where your body rotates before the wing, will make a big difference.
Okay, yeah, it's like you turn the board before the rest of the body kind of thing, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm starting to, I want to do them more and more like tweaked out. So instead of just a flat 360, I want to do like a more backflippy 360.
I mean, yeah, like the ones Baltz Muller does, those backflips where he kind of goes up and then he flips the wing and then he comes around with the rest of the body, and that looks super cool too, but I'm just not brave enough to try that yet.
I think, yeah, the biggest obstacle for me was commitment, because it's way more intimidating before you do it than after you do it.
Actually, let's talk a little bit about the this other move, the upwind, or the upwind 360 or Flaka. And it looks like you're doing these ones now where you're rotating the other way and then flipping around. So like first rotating and then doing the Flaka move. So can you talk a little bit about that move and how, break it down for us?
Yeah, well, I think with that first tweak right there, I do that it helps me almost get a faster rotation, because I go and then I just spin.
It's like you're winding up the spring kind of thing.
Yeah, and then it also because before when I used to do them, I would do them straight out of the water. But I've been realizing that it's a lot easier when you jump, wait, and then when you start coming down, then you do it.
Okay. So it's kind of like in windsurfing when we do forwards, sometimes you kind of you go up first and you stall and then you throw yourself into the rotation. So maybe it's...
Yeah.
So
that's
kind
of what it is.
So I've been working on that move too, and I've been pulling off maybe 1 out of 10 or something like that. But do you have any tips on, for me, I always struggle with the landing and the wing coming around, and then what do you have any tips on that?
Yeah, I think what I do is I really try to keep the wing as high as I can, so that it doesn't hit the water.
Okay.
And it helps a lot to have the smallest wing that you can be on. And yeah, it definitely, with the rotation, it's a lot easier with the smaller wing, and then it spins better. And for the landing, it'll whip you around right in that last part, and then that'll pull you right up back onto the foil.
Yeah.
So.
Have you tried doing this move on a wave?
Yeah, I've done some on the waves. Sometimes, I can't really get up on foil straight away, like what I did on that one. It's hard to do that for me. So most of the time I would do it, land, and then I would have to pump, and then I would go out the back of the wave, but then I would just go back into it.
Yeah. So. I'm trying to figure out too. It looks like you almost pretty much rotating the wing at the very end, when your foil already touched the water, the last part of the rotation, really.
Yeah,
through the wind.
Yeah, I like doing that because since it like has the forward momentum, it'll just lift me straight up onto the foil, like what it did there.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how you just pull out of it right up on back on the foil again without, like when I do it, I don't, like I kind of do the last part of the rotation almost in the water and while I'm bringing the wing around and then kind of pump myself back up, but it's almost like I stop and you're kind of still moving forward on the landing. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's why like when you do the wing rotation further towards the bottom, it'll give you that forward momentum to get back up on the foil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about the wing? Do you have any tips for like how you hold the wing, or do you try to kind of have less power in it, or?
What I try to do is I try to like go off of a little chop or something, and then when I do it, I like to do them in holes of wind, like where there's a hole so that you can rotate the wing.
So it's not too, you don't want super strong gusts when you're doing it, right?
Yeah, I would rather do them like underpowered, not like, because it's harder to do them in super strong winds.
Right.
I think too, though, his definition of strong winds is really strong because this summer it's been
30
to 40 every single day, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy wind over here on Maui.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then this one too, it's like you bringing the wing through the wind after the foil touches down, really, or after you already touch the water, right? Yeah. So it's pretty late in the move when you actually spin the wing around.
Yeah, definitely. I like doing it for closer to the water, because sometimes like when I do it above the water, I would just have like a bunch of extra time to like rotate again or whatever, and then I usually mess up or something.
Right.
It looks like you almost like pump it. It's almost like a pumping thing when you whip it right around at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first back loop I made